It's been said in the press that I was invited to speak transgender employees at Netflix, and I refused. You said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. Well, it seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore.
What kind of person walks away from $50 million to prove a point? Someone who refuses to play by the rules, especially the ones you're not even allowed to talk about. And in the case of Dave Chappelle, those unwritten rules belong to woke culture. But here's the thing, he didn't just break them, he obliterated them.
I'm sure there's a lot of gay men here tonight with their wives.
And it all started with one of the most unexpected analogies you'll ever hear. Dave Chappelle has never been the type to chase a paycheck at the cost of his principles. Remember when he walked away from the show at the peak of its success? Most people thought he was crazy. But for him, it was simple. If he couldn't be real, it wasn't worth it.
The only reason I ever been mad at the transgender community is because I was at a club in LA and danced with one of these niggas for 6 songs straight. I had no idea. And then the lights came up and I saw them knuckles. I said, oh no! And everybody was laughing at me, hi, world star.
Fast forward to now, and Chappelle's not just challenging political correctness. He's taking a sledgehammer to it, fully aware that the blowback could end his career. But does he care? Not one bit. If anything, he leans into it. For Chappelle, being honest is more important than being liked.
And they've canceled people that are more powerful than me. They canceled J.K. Rowling. My God, J.K. Rowling wrote all the Harry Potter books by herself. But effectually, she said gender was a fact. And then the trans community got mad as shit. They started calling her a TERF. I didn't even know what the fuck that was.
Now, here's where things get different. Chappelle tells this story. He's on the set of Man on the Moon, hoping to meet Jim Carrey.
He says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, fuck, yes I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited.
But when he gets there, Carrey is still in character as Andy Kaufman, and it throws Chappelle off. He wanted to meet Jim, not some persona.
Because I wanted to meet Jim Carrey, and I had to pretend this nigga was Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey.
That moment stuck with him. Because of that feeling, that confusion, that's how he says he feels when talking to trans people. Not out of hate, but out of raw, unfiltered fascination. In his words, that's how trans people make me feel.
Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
Now, was that risky to say? Absolutely. But that's the point. Chappelle's not trying to sugarcoat reality. He's using his stage to talk about how people feel, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's messy, even if it sparks outrage. That's what makes his comedy so electric. You don't have to agree with him, but you can't say he's not being real. So, before anyone tries to cancel Dave Chappelle for being problematic, maybe ask yourself this. How many people are willing to say what they think when the whole world is watching? And more importantly, what happens when someone finally does?
The gay community started accusing African American community of being homophobic for not supporting him. What they didn't understand is that we were supporting him with our silence. Because we understood that this nigga was clearly lying.
Just when it looked like Chappelle had poked the bear enough, the closer happened, and the bear came roaring back. Netflix dropped the special, and boom, the backlash was instant.
You guys are confusing the emotions. You think I hate gay people, and what you're really seeing is that I am jealous of gay people.
Critics called it transphobic. Media headlines declared his career officially over. Netflix employees organized a walkout. Social media lit up like wildfire. But Dave, he didn't flinch. Chappelle didn't just stand his ground, he doubled down. While everyone else was busy writing think pieces and demanding apologies, he calmly reminded the world of something too many people forget. Discomfort is not the same as harm. And in comedy, discomfort isn't a side effect, it's the point. According to Chappelle, if a joke doesn't make someone squirm a little, it's probably not worth telling. He wasn't trying to cause pain. He was trying to start a conversation, an honest, messy, uncomfortable conversation that most people are too afraid to have. And yeah, it stung for some people. But here's the thing. When did feeling offended become grounds for erasing someone's voice? That line says everything you need to know. Chappelle wasn't looking for acceptance. He was looking for freedom. And that kind of fearlessness, it's rare. And it's not just the critics he calls out. Chappelle has a bone to pick with how the LGBTQ+ movement presents itself as one big, unified front. Or, as he sarcastically puts it, the alphabet people.
You are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people. You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves.
He doesn't hate them. He just thinks the narrative is a little too neat. So he breaks it down with a metaphor only Chappelle could get away with. A road trip. Imagine the LGBTQ+ community as a car ride, with each group playing a distinct role.
All those letters are their own movement. They just travel in the same car together.
The G's, gay men, are behind the wheel, a position Chappelle suggests they hold due to their societal leverage. They're the most accepted, the most vocal, and the most organized within the community, steering the direction.
G's are driving that car. That makes sense to me, because there's white men in the G's. And these people are trying to get around discrimination and oppression. And you know how white dudes are. We know these roads.
Sitting beside them in the front passenger seat are the L's, lesbians, who, though not always in complete agreement, at least share the general direction, traveling together.
Of course, next to the G's in the passenger seat is the L's. Everybody likes the L's, except for the G's.
In the back, you've got the B's, bisexual individuals who are still trying to find their place. They're quiet, unsure, still working out where they fit in the larger picture. They may be part of the journey, but they're not quite as certain about the path ahead.
The only thing that breaks the tension between the L's and the G's are the B's in the back seat. That's right, there you go. Everybody scream out when you hear your letter. If it's one thing that the L's and the G's agree on, is that the B's are fucking gross.
At the very back of the car are the T's, transgender people. According to Chappelle, there's a sense of tension here. While everyone else is moving forward, the trans community is seen as complicating the trip. Chappelle humorously suggests they make the trip longer, not necessarily out of intention, but because the journey itself has always been difficult. The challenges they face have added complexity to an already bumpy road for the entire LGBTQ+ community.
And sitting next to the B's, all the way in the back seat by themselves, looking out the window, that's the T's. Everybody in the car respects the T's, but everyone also resents the T's. It's not the T's' fault, but everyone in the car just feels like the T's are making the trip take longer.
It's not meant to mock their identity. It's meant to highlight the internal frictions no one wants to admit exist. Because the truth is, every movement has its growing pains. And pretending everything's perfect, that helps no one. And that's the reaction Chappelle wants. Because if you're only laughing when it's safe, you're not laughing. You're just nodding. What Chappelle's doing isn't just about jokes. It's about truth. Awkward, complicated, sometimes uncomfortable truth. And whether you agree with him or not, you have to admit he's saying things most people won't even whisper. So here's the real question. Is Chappelle the problem? Or just the mirror? If there's one thing Dave Chappelle doesn't shy away from, it's calling out contradictions. And nowhere does he do it more boldly than than when he dives into the tangled mess of gender, identity, and how society treats both. Take sports, for example. Chappelle poses a hypothetical. What if LeBron James decided to transition and join the WNBA? Would it still be fair for him to dominate a league where players, biologically female, don't stand a chance against someone with years of NBA-level strength and skill? It's not a dig at trans athletes. It's a question about fairness. And fairness, like truth, can be uncomfortable to face when it goes against popular narratives.
Say LeBron James changed his gender. You know what I mean? Okay, can he stay in the NBA, or because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game? Does it actually mean to be equal? You know what I mean?
Then there's the Caitlyn Jenner bit. Chappelle gives her credit. She transitioned publicly and boldly. But what throws him isn't her transition. It's the fact that she was named Woman of the Year in her first year as a woman.
Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman.
He's not mocking trans people here. He's mocking how society, in its rush to appear inclusive, sometimes leaps past logic. Caitlyn didn't grow up facing the same struggles, insecurities, or experiences that cisgender women endure their entire lives. So, how did she earn that title so quickly?
Never even had a period, ain't that something?
And then comes the comparison that raised the most eyebrows. Rachel Dolezal, a white woman who identified as black and got dragged for it.
Rachel Dolezal. She always says that. She's a white woman, but then she dressed up like a nigga and shot her way up to the very top of blackness.
Chappelle doesn't defend her, but he does notice the double standard. Rachel gets crucified for pretending to be black, but if a man identifies as a woman, he's instantly affirmed. His take? Trans people are real. They cut their dicks off. That's all the proof I need. It's brutal. It's honest.
Them niggas cut their dicks off. That's all the proof I need. I've never seen somebody just throw their dick away. Don't need it.
And it's classic Chappelle. He's not trying to be polite. He's trying to make you think. But this whole controversy brings up something even bigger: comedy itself. Chappelle argues that jokes aren't hate speech. They're just jokes. But in today's culture, even a joke can get you cancelled. He's watched it happen to others. J.K. Rowling, for example, was torn apart online for her gender-critical views. Chappelle defends her, not because he agrees with everything she says, but because he believes in her right to say it. It's provocative on purpose. Because what's the point of comedy if it can't challenge the rules? Chappelle also aims to cancel culture as a whole. He sees it as the death of nuance, a world where you can't ask questions, can't explore grey areas, and can't make people uncomfortable without being branded a villain. And let's not forget his shots at corporate activism, those sudden rainbow logos every June, or solemn social justice tweets from brands that never cared until it made them money. He calls it out for what it is: performative wokeness, a way for corporations to look progressive while staying completely safe. Because at the end of the day, they're not protecting people, they're protecting their profits. And while the world tiptoes around these topics, Chappelle stomps right through them, risking outrage not because he wants to offend, but because he refuses to lie. But the question remains, how far is too far? And is Chappelle drawing the line, or just dancing on it? In the next segment, we dig into the moment when even he admitted to being unsure, and how his final Netflix special left audiences both divided and stunned. Stick around. This conversation, it's far from over. Dave Chappelle's refusal to apologize, backtrack, or soften his delivery has turned him into something larger than a stand-up comic. He's become a symbol of free speech in an era where speech is constantly policed. Despite the protests, walkouts, and endless media criticism, his live shows continue to sell out in minutes. He's packed arenas while trending on Twitter for all the wrong reasons. This glaring contrast between online outrage and real-world admiration tells a bigger story. Most people don't want sanitized comedy. They want the truth, even if it stings a little. Chappelle positions comedy not as a way to comfort the crowd, but as a way to confront them. His legacy now lives at the intersection of controversy and courage, proving that comedy, when done right, can be a powerful tool for exposing hypocrisy, challenging cultural narratives, and starting hard conversations. Whether it's gender, race, or politics, he doesn't claim to have the answers, but he insists on our right to ask the questions. And maybe that's the heart of it. Chappelle isn't trying to tell you what to think. He's trying to make sure you do think. His jokes are uncomfortable because the truth often is. He forces audiences to confront their assumptions, not to be cruel, but because comfort rarely leads to growth. Whether you love him or can't stand him, Chappelle's impact is undeniable. His brand of comedy is messy, raw, and deeply human. It doesn't follow the rules, and that's why it resonates. If you want more conversations like this, more deep dives into the people shifting culture and calling out the chaos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Because of the next chapter, it's only getting wilder.